Shall we begin?
You aren't stuck in traffic. You are traffic.
Let's begin now.
Please get that bicycle-shaped object out of this shop. Oh no, dude. No mix and match here. Black bottoms or full-on kit. Pedal on, bro. Pedal on.
Let's begin now.
Oh, geez. Learn the hard way. Wider is better.
Today is Friday, February 22nd, 2019. You just downloaded and are listening to Bike Shop CX. Thanks for listening. Thanks for downloading, everyone. Music I'm using on today's show is Bijou by Philly Run. As always, you can get this tune at the Free Music Archive, where you can download it for free. All right. On the show this week, besides the typical what are you working on and viewer questions that we're going to have, we got a decent number of viewer questions this week, so that's awesome. Mr. David Palin and I talk about where, as we often do, where should you be in your cyclocross bike prep now? We're at the very end of the season. You never have more time between now and your next race than you do at this point in the season. So what kind of things should you be looking at? What kind of things should you be thinking about for long-term storage of your cyclocross bike if you're not going to be riding it for gravel or anything this summer? So we talk about all that stuff and then, of course, go on to viewer questions. One of these days, I'm going to start getting the show out again on Friday mornings instead of later in the day. But this week, I had my 25th wedding anniversary, so that pushed me back a couple days. So we're getting it out there when we can. I hope everybody still has time to dig it over the weekend. This show is brought to you again by Wide Angle Podium. We are proud Wide Angle Podium members. We thank everyone who is a subscriber and a member. If you aren't a member and you are interested in being one, get on over to wideanglepodium.com. There is a donate or membership button, I don't remember which, on the page. You can become a member for, as little as $5 a month. It's just a great contribution and a huge help. This is what drives this network, is you guys that get out there and say, hey, you know what? I really like this. I like listening to all these shows every week or whatever. I listen to 4 or 5 of them a month. Man, that's less than $1 or only $1 a month that I'm actually paying to listen to all this stuff and helping them out. So we really, really appreciate all the help we get from that. Also, Grimpeur Brothers, GrimpeurBrothers.com. Go buy yourself some of the full Schleck coffee or the Hello Cyclocross Friends coffee. There is a link to that on the Wide Angle Podium website, or just go to GrimpeureBrothers.com. Also help support the network. And we have the return of Health IQ. healthiq.com/WAP. Yes, they are back, and it's so exciting, and we love having them back with us. Get on over there, take the health survey, get yourself some life insurance. It's very important. All right, all those things will be coming up, and our discussion. Can't wait to get to it. All right, that's enough of my yapping. Let's get on with it. The Bike Shop is open. Okay, we are back for another edition of
Bike Shop CX.
There we go. We're picking up Mr. David Palin loud and clear now.
All right.
With me, as always, is
Mr. David Palin.
Just in case
you say as always. I wasn't there the first time we started.
Just in case people don't know what this show is. And we might, you might have new listeners.
We may. We call them viewers.
Our viewers, I mean. So we're sitting here again, still in this crappy month of February that we have here in Michigan. Isn't there something they can do about February?
You shorten it. They can shorten it.
Can we just get February off the calendar?
Yeah, man.
It is always, I don't care. Even if you're set up to be a winter rider, right? Even if you're a big fat biker, February is still...
It's tough.
Just tough. Bear to get through. I mean, it's January, you get more clear days still, I think. But February, you just get these dismal... icy, right?
Yeah.
You get a little bit higher temperature. So for people that aren't in Michigan, we get these little bit higher temperatures so that it hovers right around freezing.
Right.
So you get rain that freezes. So roads and everything, even gravel roads, are just
Especially the
half an inch
gravel.
thick of
Yep.
ice, you know.
Yeah.
So it really is difficult riding in February.
We have
in
prided
this area.
ourselves for years going out every Sunday.
year round. Yeah,
And the last 2 Sundays,
yeah.
it was glazed
dangerous.
ice
I mean,
covered with
yeah.
snow.
Yeah.
And we decided one weekend, some of the guys went out and got to like the bridge where we always take the picture.
Right.
Went beyond that, and it was just turn around, go back. It was glazed ice. It was dangerous.
Well, like you were saying, you know, you just fell the other day,
Yeah.
right? On similar things. So, oh well, it'll be over soon.
Yeah.
We're at the end of February, so March will be here soon. What's the March saying?
In like a lion, out like a lamb.
There
or is
you
that
go.
April?
No, that's March.
Okay.
April is
remember.
April showers bring May flowers.
Oh, and then in May, Mayflowers bring pilgrims, right?
Oh, but hey, we're not here to talk about the weather, Mr. David Pellin.
No. What are we here to talk about?
We're talking about cyclocross. It's like, but it's like the season is actually over now, isn't it? I mean, are we done?
Oostmala, right?
We got one more
weekend,
like
tomorrow.
super prestige race, I think,
Yeah.
and that's it. And
Yeah.
and then it is officially done. So that's going to be a little bit about what we talk about is what kind of things. Where should you be if you're really going to be into taking care of your bike?
Yeah.
It's a year-round process, and where should you be at the end of the season?
Yeah.
Where should you be as far as the continuum of bike care as a cyclocross racer? So
Yeah.
we're going to talk about that a little bit basically we're going to talk about long-term storage things to think about. So
We didn't go over this in the notes and in the green room and in our first.
you're springing it on me?
I am.
Oh, geez.
So you can always cut this out. But one of
Never.
the topics I did not put in that I wish I had, so I'm going to just stick it in here now.
Yeah. What? It's never stopped you before.
No, it hasn't. Is the announced retirement not only of Kevin Powell's, which he talked about with Bill
Yeah.
on the show, but now CX Helen Wyman herself
Officially.
announcing her retirement, not from cross, but from racing cross.
Yeah. Because she's someone. She's going to be this. You just feel about Helen. She's going to be this lasting presence in cyclocross, isn't she? She's going to be like when Sven retired. It's
Yep.
almost like he hasn't retired because you see him every
Right,
race he's
right.
out there. I'm sure she's going to be doing things like pre-riding the course with some of the development riders that she has. And so we're still going to see
Yeah.
Helen. But
Yep.
you're right. It is the end of an era for sure. Someone who we have just had nothing but great admiration for as far as her racing has been, what she's done with the UCI for cyclocross, what she's done for especially developing women
And
It's
young
just-
women.
young women. It's just been incredible, and I'm sure she's going to continue to do that and surprise us, and have a lot of great things coming down the pike for her. But yeah, it's going to be different not having Helen Wyman on the start line for sure.
It is
for sure.
indeed.
Yeah.
And she was one of our, talking about giving people a start and helping people progress. She was one of our first, not our first, but one of our first professional
Yeah.
cyclocross racers that came on the show, was willing to talk to us.
Yeah, I
so
never
many
got to
years
meet
ago.
her. Well, I did meet her. I've met her at races, but you did that interview with her and
And we had her on
Steph.
via Skype even before that.
Oh, that's right.
Remember?
That's right.
Yeah, she was
She's
one of our
actually been on a
originals.
couple times.
She has, yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
Indeed. Yep. So thank you, Helen. Thank you
Yes,
for
yes.
everything you've done and
maybe
everything
now-
I'm sure you will continue to do.
Right, and maybe now she'll have even more time. We can talk to her even more.
Sure, yeah. She just want to, chat with us.
Right.
I understand that she's going in, or there's talk about her going into the announcing game and being a commentator, which I have, when she did on some of the GCN stuff this year,
Yeah.
the stuff that she and Jeremy Powers have brought to that has been
I
eye-opening.
really enjoyed the last time Jeremy Powers was on. I think he added some really good stuff to that race. That was really good.
Yeah.
Well done, Jeremy. But hey, this is a tech show, man.
Sorry, Helen. He bumped you.
Helen's next goal will be to become a mechanic.
Yeah.
No, that's what she's got stuff
She
for.
has Sword Panda for that too, right?
right, exactly. So, but on this tech show, Mr. David Pallin,
Yes,
we
sir.
usually ask each other questions. So I got it for you. What are you working on?
Funny you should ask. I had forgot that you might ask me this question. But here it is.
Have I ever not asked you that?
You've asked me every time.
Go.
I have just finished up a fit and now it's end of season. We were talking before about like what to do at the end of the season, how to prepare. Well, as some people call it, this is now the early road season, or as we know it to be, this is cyclocross preseason.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
Local guy and viewer of the show, Mark L., he's a lighting design guy for the DIA, the Detroit Institute of Art.
Nice.
This guy, man,
what a cool job.
He has one of the the job is right at the velodrome, and he goes over and rides the velodrome at lunchtime.
That's awesome.
Right? Yeah, so Mark
he basically permanently has his track bike in his car because every day
he leaves it at the drome. Actually.
Oh, does he? Okay, yeah, he's got a locker there. Yeah,
yeah. So Mark came in and we took a look at his bike, and we got it fit much better.
Yeah, good.
It was you needed some
You didn't make it
adjustments.
worse. That's good.
I certainly didn't make it worse.
That's usually that's true about bike mechanics and bike fit, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
First, don't make it worse. And we spent a good 3 hours just going through it and tweaking and going back and forth on a couple of things.
Mm-hmm.
Some things about his shoes and a little bit about the cleats. And I mean, we just really dialed. He should be kicking strong when the cyclocross season opens up, and he wants to be doing some gravel this year as well. We should be seeing him on the coast to coast.
Ooh, that'd be cool.
Yeah,
that's always cool.
Perhaps for the Glen Gramble,
which has a special Bike Shop CX registration code. Is that still good?
I think it is.
If you use the code Bike Shop CX at Bike Reg when you register for the. What's it called? The Glen Gravel.
I don't know.
It's June 8th. I know that. All right. It's June 8th. If you look for June 8th events in Michigan, use the Bike Shop CX code. I think you get 5% off whatever's in your.
Even more than that, isn't it?
I think it's 5% off, but it's anything in your cart.
Yeah.
So it can be.
So load up that cart.
Yeah, load it up.
Yeah.
The more you buy, the more you save.
Indeed, you will. Yeah, thanks to PT JB Barnum for that.
Yeah, exactly. So you fit him on his track bike or on a gravel bike?
On his cross bike.
On his cross bike. Okay, cool.
Yeah. So he's actually talking about going to the 3T, thinking maybe because he wants to do a lot of gravel this year.
Yeah,
that could be his one bike to conquer it all.
Sure,
which is a very interesting choice. You know, we've talked a lot about the width of tire you need for some of the stuff, especially coast to coast where it gets kind of sandy.
Yeah, basically nowadays in gravel, if you can't fit a 40, your frame is subpar.
Like my 33s don't really cut it, huh?
Well, you're an exception.
Yeah. When you run the back of the pack, man,
it doesn't
it's
matter.
An exception. It does not matter. Right?
Well, that's cool. That's good. That's a good. What are you working on?
Yeah, and so the next logical question for the viewers that are new, the next thing I do is then I turn on and say, "Hey, Scotty D, what are you working on?"
What are you working on? So interesting. Did you listen to Slow Ride this week?
I did.
Someone's having problem with a campy shifter.
And from the look at what I'm product in your hand.
What am I holding in my hand? I'm thinking, right here.
I'm thinking Tim's not the only one with issues with a campy shifter. That's a record carbon shifting lever.
Yep.
Actually, no, it's not. I'm sorry.
10
That's
speed.
a record 10-speed brake lever. I don't see a shifting lever there.
You don't see a shifting paddle on this, do you? Well, you do. You just see like
there it is, a stub.
A little tiny stub at the top because it is broken off of there. Yeah. So, and I just got the part. I don't have it right here. That's down in my shop. But so I'm going to be fixing this. I think we're going to do. I was going to fix it, but I think we're going to do it because Slow Ride asked the question about rebuilding campy shifters. Mm-hmm. Because was it
Tim?
It was Tim, not Little Guy.
Little Guy could do it.
Little Guy's already
Tim just
done
lost.
it. Yeah.
Right.
What's the deal with those guys and campy shifters?
I don't know.
Why are they having so much problem with this?
I think they don't speak Italian.
So I'm going to talk about this on the next show when we that's probably be our tech topic for the next show is rebuilding this campy shifter. I've got the part. So that's what I've been working on to answer your question is getting the damn shift paddle. Yeah. It wasn't terribly hard. I had to go order it and stuff. And it wasn't, I think One nice thing about these campy shifters is all these parts are, you just go buy the little part that you need, and
that's it.
And you can fix it.
Yeah, I was listening to the Cycling Tips. See, I'm saying it. Cycling Tips podcast, and they were talking about the difference between Shimano and Campy, and have those kind of differences kind of closed over the years.
Yeah.
And why would one choose one versus the other? And this is a part that a lot of people don't really talk about. Is yes, they are initially upfront costs are higher, sometimes considerably higher, but they tend to be more serviceable. So when something breaks, you can fix it as opposed to just replacing.
Yeah, I would say in general, I think the SRAM shifters have become more fixable, which is really cool. But I still think Campy leads the way with this. And personally, I've always thought that the Campy shifters have always been my favorite.
Yeah.
And I think the 10-speed was actually better than the 11. My 10-speed Campy stuff, I think, shifts better than my 11-speed Campy stuff. Just as far as the smoothness and everything of the shift. But don't get me wrong, I'm not bad-mouthing 11-speed. I love 11-speed because of the interchangeability of the rear wheels, right? You can, all the 11-speed cassettes, the spacing is close enough that you can make it work on anything and work well. But yeah, Campy shifters have always been my favorite because I like the thumb shifter. I like the idea and Campy's philosophy of each lever does one thing.
Right.
No multiple. This is my big knock on Shimano levers. It's why they're my third favorite out of the three major, is I don't like the shifting with the brake lever. I don't like that. It feels weird to me when I pull the brake and that thing moves sideways. Yeah. It's just a funny feeling to me to have that happen. So it's just always never been a thing that I liked. So,
and I'll tell you, one of the things I really appreciate with SRAM in this instance is reaching out into the drops and pulling that shift paddle in your two fingers, and you can shift in the drops.
Right.
Now with the Campy, it's tough unless you have a very long thumb.
Especially this
to get
stuff.
up to the top of it.
This is the older style with the thumb paddle way up high.
Yeah.
And they've addressed that by dropping that thumb. That the thumb lever now on a Campy shifter has that drop.
Yeah.
Right. That goes down, so you can reach it with your thumb on because that's really, if you think about it, the being in the drops. The thing that brought the SRAM levers, I should say one of the things, because we'll get emails if I don't quantify it a little bit.
bikeshopshow@gmail.com.
That made the SRAM, one of the things that made the SRAM levers was the ability to pull that, you're right, and it's the upshift, right? It's the ability to do upshift in a sprint. So starting
when you will be in the drops, right?
Right. When you're going to be in the drops, you can pull the shift lever on the SRAM levers back to the handlebars, put your hand around the entire thing, do your sprint as your speed increases and you need more gear. You just flick your wrist.
Yep.
You don't even have to let go of the handlebars.
Yeah.
And you're shifting. You jump up a gear, and then as you speed. So you see. You'll see in a sprint they're down on the drops going, and their wrist is going. And that thing is upshifting as their speed increases, and that was a huge deal for SRAM.
Legend has it that the thanks to that goes to Tom Boonen.
Tom Boonen was one of the guys. Yeah, I mean, you can find him doing that for sure, and it works. It's really cool. It works all the way down to like apex shifters, right? You can pull that paddle back, and if you just want to do it so that you can see what it's like, it's amazing how well it upshifts with just a flick of your wrist when you've got that paddle pulled back to the bar. So really cool. So anyways, this is gonna be our tech topic, I think, for the next show, is me talking about I'm not gonna do the rebuild live, I don't think, because too many things happen, right? It's like, oh, you need some little tool that you forgot or something. I'm gonna do it ahead of time, and then I might take pictures and stuff, and we've done this before. Right, I went through this before on an earlier bike shop show, so I think, but it's time to do it again, and we can talk about that. Especially since, we got to take care of our fellow slow ride podcasters.
Right, our wide angle podium friends.
We cannot leave them hanging.
No.
For sure. Speaking of wide angle podium, what are you drinking, Mr. David Palmer?
I am drinking myself some full Schleck.
Full Schleck. That is what I have as well. Second cup this morning.
Uh-oh.
Not the third cup, but that's fine. So yeah, get over to wideanglepodium.com/beans or coffee. I don't know.
Yeah.
You can just go to the Wide Angle Podium site, and there's a link on the right-hand side where you can get to
right near the donate
to the green. Right. You can either take your pick. Either choose donate or choose Grimpeur Brothers.
Right.
Go buy some either the full Schleck coffee from Grimpeur Brothers or Hello Cyclocross Friends espresso. Not a blend. It's a
roast,
right?
An
single origin,
roast,
I think. I can't remember. All I know is it's delicious.
Yeah.
Right. So it doesn't matter where it comes from.
Yeah.
But yeah, get either the full Schleck or the Hello Cyclocross Friends and help support the Wide Angle Podium podcasting network.
For sure. And again, I say it every week, even though we're only on every other. I do say it even when we're not on.
You just say it.
I just say it.
You have an alarm set on your phone and it goes
tell
off.
my dogs.
And you just say out loud, no matter where you are, support the people that support the sport.
I do. And I also say Dan is killing it. I'm so pleased to be supporting Dan and the folks at Grimpeur Brothers Coffee.
And it's nice to have him supporting us.
Indeed.
So there you go. So,
all
right, get on over to Wide Angle Podium. Take care of that. You won't be disappointed. And you get great coffee out of it. Not only do you get the good feeling of supporting the podcast network, you get good coffee.
What could be better?
What could be better? So there you go. All right, Mr. David Palin. So we're going to talk about, we get a lot of questions throughout the season about people. How do I store this? How should I do that? But so we're going to kind of just go over, in general, ideas for long-term storage. What should you be doing? What should you be thinking about doing right now? We're at the very end of the season, right?
Right.
So you will never have more time at any other point in the year to take care of problems than you do right now.
Right now.
Your next race, your next cyclocross race will never be farther away than it is right now.
Right? There you go. So you could probably think about it, right?
I'm talking excluding things like injury or something like that, right?
You could win that race if you prepare right now.
If you do enough prep right now, you will win your next race. The Mr. David Palin guarantee.
It's a warranty, not a guarantee, but yeah, there you go. An assurance.
So I'm going to start out with...
If you wait till tomorrow, that offer is no longer valid, by the way.
So we'll make sure we don't post this till tomorrow. Okay. So I'm going to start out with, especially depending on what level of your mechanic ability is, and even if it's very high, I'm going to start out with take pictures.
I think that is a very, very wise choice. We say that all the time.
Yes.
Whenever you're working on things, when you're taking things apart in particular, take a picture before you take it apart. And then as you're taking it apart.
Yes. But even so, as your bike is in some say it's in some state of cleanliness after your last race, whether you really cleaned it well without taking anything apart, you just kind of cleaned it all off and detail cleaned it, or whether you just rolled it into the garage or basement or shed or whatever, and it's sat that way with the mud on it ever since. Start out by take some detailed pictures of your entire bike.
Yeah.
Take a full shot. I mean, pictures so easy to do nowadays. Take a full-on shot. Take a close-up shot of your derailleurs. What everything looked like at the end of this season. You never know what you might need to go back and check out and kind of just see when you're having trouble putting stuff back together, what was it? How did I have this set up? I thought I had it this way, but
where did that cable run? Did it run through the middle?
Exactly.
Or the side?
Things like cable routing, how the cable attaches, where's the pinch point for where's the cable routing to the pinch bolt on the derailleurs, right? People get the SRAM ones mixed up all the time. They don't route that cable right, or they pinch it on the wrong side of the pinch bolt.
And it's sometimes it's kind of counterintuitive. It looks like it should go one place. It looks like there's a slot there, but it's not really.
But it's not really
supposed to go there.
Do I run it under the tab or
right?
No?
Exactly.
Yeah, that's a common one. So take pictures of all that stuff right now. assuming everything's working good, right?
And even if it's not, it
Even if
should at
it's
least
not,
be set up correctly.
Yeah, but so take pictures of all that stuff, and have that. If that's all you do right now, you're doing yourself a favor.
Yeah. And don't be afraid to go onto online references. And SRAM has, I say SRAM now, but SRAM, Shimano, Campy, Rotor, and they're
Sure.
everybody has
FSA.
diagrams, right?
Right, yep.
Everybody has online resources.
Yep.
Take a look at it. Make sure that the way you may have been setting it up all season long could have been wrong.
Could have been wrong. Yes.
Yeah.
So that kind of goes into my my next thing is one of the biggest things. One of the biggest downfalls of most people when they're getting ready for the cyclocross season as it comes up is they're rushing. Mm-hmm. So try and avoid having to rush to get this stuff done. Now is the time when you're going to be able to prevent that rushing feeling at the end of July when you're down to the last month of prep in August, so that you're ready for September, for the first weekend in September.
Right.
Now's the time to combat that, right? So,
because now you don't have that pressure of, I got to get my last training rides in, or I want to do this clinic.
Exactly.
Do it now.
Exactly.
Right.
So the basic idea here we're getting through to is let's avoid having to rush at the beginning of next season.
Yeah.
Now, one of the things we get asked about, I was listening to, and this is great. I mean, we talk about Calvin Jones all the time.
We do.
Right? Calvin is just a mentor that I've had for years, and he's taught me so much stuff through the Park Tool stuff and at the Bill Woodall Clinic, and I mean, you name it, through Barnett Bicycle Institute, you name it. Calvin Jones has just been great. But I was listening to an interview with him, and we get this question as well, and it's a question that he said he gets a lot is, when we talk about the pit bag, because we're more cyclocross specific, but in general, in bike racing in general, people saying, what tools should I have in my bike bag, right? What multi-tools, what this, what that, whatever.
Yeah. And that's when he referred to, you should listen to the Bike Shop CX show, right?
Well, for cyclocross, I would agree. I would say yes. And having the right tools is very important, right? We'll go over that at some point this summer again. But the best thing you can have in your quiver, right, is the confidence and knowledge that your bike is set up right and is in good shape.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That is something. So then, even if you forget some tool, it might not matter, because you're bringing this confidence and this feeling of, I know everything's good. Right. I'm not putting some duct tape or wire on something just to get me through the first week of the season. That's good enough. It'll be good enough for the first race. I hate that. I hate that when people say that. It's not good enough. You might have to say that during a race. That's a completely different situation. Something happens in the race, you might fix something in the pit that's good enough just to get you to the end of that race. But you should never have to say that going into the first race of the season. Well, it's good enough for the first race.
You never should think, I'm going to get free neutral support in the first race, so I'm not going to bother with this before the season starts.
Right, I'll just roll it into neutral support.
After my first lap, I'm going to just go right into neutral support. I'm going to make an appointment with neutral support.
Okay, so here's another thing before we get to more like technical specific things. Is ask for help. Don't be afraid to ask for help. Do not leave something unattended because you don't know how to fix it,
or just try to do it with no knowledge of how to do it.
Well, that's okay, but if you're going into something knowing that you don't know exactly how to do this, then be okay with asking someone who does.
And again, this comes back to our point. It is February.
Right.
Go to the bike shop in February. You will have a much better chance of just sitting and chatting with a qualified mechanic than when you go to the bike shop in June,
because they have time. Right. Now's the time. February, next month, March, it starts to ramp up. March is still pretty good,
right?
But it's starting to ramp up, but you still have a little bit of time in March. February, though, it's still early enough that most bike shops are still pretty low. But by April,
no,
it's full
forget
on.
It, yep.
You're done. Actually, April, May, June are probably the busiest months for any shop that's doing any kind of bike stuff. So, so don't be afraid to ask for help or send your favorite podcast questions.
Yeah.
You could do that too.
Right to the Gravel Lot.
But you can ask other racers. That's fine. You can be like, you can be like, hey, have you ever had this problem?
Mm-hmm.
How did you solve that? What's going on? Who do you know somebody who knows how to fit, do this?
And now's again the time where you can find the resources that you need.
Yeah.
Without having to just really rush things.
Also, go online, look at schematic drawings of stuff. Understand the components that you have and how they work.
Yeah.
Now's the time. You can sit down. All the major manufacturers have schematic drawings of their stuff.
Right.
They have sheets with steps on how to set things up, how to repair them. You don't have to be an expert, right? That's what people like me and other people are here for, right? And you
and even
right?
even us, more you, much more expert than I. You don't just say, "Oh, I know everything off the top of my head." You pull out schematics as well.
That's right. The only advantage is I probably or may have done it before. Right. So, but I still got to look at the. Oh, wait. When exactly when you're setting up a SRAM yaw? When exactly do you push the lever?
Right.
I always forget that, or there's always these little things I always have to remind myself of before.
If you're not doing it over and over again, you kind of
right. On my bike that has the SRAM yaw, if I ride that a lot and I'm messing with it, then it's no problem. You remember it and you do it without having to look. But when it's been a while, don't be afraid to ask for help. Understand how your components work. And what's going on with them, and have some kind of knowledge, because the place where this is going to have the biggest impact for you is when there is an issue. It will help you describe the problem to someone else, right?
That's
to
a good point. That is a very good point.
People always come in and be like, "My bike is making a clicking noise."
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
What? So so you got to go through the. Does it do it when you're pedaling or anytime you're moving? Because right away I'm trying to eliminate
only under load.
Is it drivetrain or is it wheels? Right.
Yep.
If it does it when you're not pedaling, it's probably wheels. If it does it when you're pedaling, it's probably drive. So having an understanding of all this and be able to walk in the door and say, when I put pressure on the right side of the drivetrain on the right pedal, I'm getting this. And
everything, it's always in the 7 o'clock position or whatever, right?
And everything gets described as clicking. Be more specific. It's like, no, it's really like a knock. It's not really a click. It's like a knock sound.
And it has a little like ping to it as you go across, right? It's not just
all that stuff matters. So the more familiar you are and the more specific you can be with those kind of things, the better off you be. So now's the time to learn all that stuff and get ready for it.
Another thing, as you're going into the shop to describe things, bring your bike.
Yes.
Bring your bike. Even if you plan to do the work yourself and you want to just discuss it with the mechanic, bring the bike.
Yeah. I love when people call. They call you on the phone and be like, my bike is making a clicking noise. How much is that going to cost for you to fix?
It's free.
You're like, I don't know.
Yeah.
How can I possibly even answer that question?
Yeah.
We laugh, but people might be like, no, that doesn't really happen.
It does.
Yes,
it happens.
It happens probably at least once a week.
Oh,
right?
Yeah. All the time.
At least once a week.
And I certainly understand that you want to have a ballpark. Is this going to cost me a whole new bike or whatever?
Yeah.
But be fair to the mechanics. Be fair to the shop. It's
such a waste of time.
Because if they give you an answer to that,
it's wrong.
It's likely wrong.
Right.
And they want to give you an answer because you called. They want to be a good service to you. They don't want to come across as blowing you off. But the truth is, they really can't answer that question.
Yeah. So, all right. So, you got everything. You've taken all your pictures. You're gonna go look at all your
schematics,
all your schematics. You're understanding your drivetrain. Thinking about what you're gonna run next year. If you're gonna change it, maybe. But you got your bike that you raced all season long. What are you going to do for long-term storage of that? So I'm going to start with, of course, what's the most important thing on any bike, Mr. David Palin?
Handlebar tape.
Wheels.
Oh, wheels. Yeah.
All right. So start with getting your wheels off and getting them. This is you probably did this at the end of your last race.
Right.
See, in my head, I already know people. I'm picturing people running tubulars.
Mm-hmm.
But I know that might not be the case. So if you're running clinchers or tubeless, you might have just left them on. If you're running tubulars, I hope you took them off at the end of the race. But
you're saying the wheels, right? Not
the wheels,
the tires.
The wheels with the tubular tires glued to them is what I'm assuming. So you're going to want to get those stored in a way that if you're not riding, you're certainly probably not riding your race wheels if you have specific race wheels.
Yeah,
you might be riding gravel all summer long on the wheels and tires that you raced cross on, and that's fine.
Right,
but you want to get those stored in a way that you don't want the tire to have any pressure on it or folds in it or anything like that. So it's always a good idea to keep a slight amount of air pressure in your tires when they're being stored, right?
Yeah.
I like to hang my wheels from a hook, right? So the wheel is hung by the inside of the rim on a hook, so there at no point is the tire resting on the ground, because as that tire pressure drops, you're going to create a fold and a crease in the tire, be it an inner tube, just a tubeless tire, or a tubular tire, you're gonna, that's gonna have a crease. So you want to avoid that. So always, and it's not that we've talked about this before, Mr. David Palin. It's now when you have all the wheels that I have, it can be
87 and a half wheels.
It's over 100 now, but it can be time consuming.
It could be.
That being said, because I hang them on hooks, I don't keep, like if it's a clincher, I don't keep those inflated. The only thing I keep inflated or try to keep inflated is the tubulars,
right?
Because that's the ones that it really matters. But if those
are all kept in the tubular room in the basement.
If those clinchers were sitting on the ground and I had no other option, then I would make sure they stay. They
at least
pressure.
Some air in them, so you're not flat on the ground.
Absolutely. And same thing with your tubeless, because if you let the tubeless deflate too much, you will break that seal.
Yep.
And now you have to reset that seal.
And your chances are that sealant is going to be toast if you let air get to it.
So what I generally do is I keep enough pressure to just keep the tire seated. I don't worry about the sealant. I'm not going to if I know I'm not using these till September, I'm not going to put sealant in them all summer.
Right.
I'm going to leave them, let the sealant be empty out or whatever. I probably, even though I've kept the seal tight, I probably will take those off and check the inside of those if it was tires I was going to reuse again. Anyways, but I'll still just keep them tight just to keep them keep their shape.
Right.
Exactly. So all right, so that's wheels.
Yep.
The other thing, basically at some point over this summer, if this is a bike you're not riding, you need to get it down to the frame.
Yeah.
So you got to decide, am I going to do that now, or am I going to just get started and do that later? Because now is the time you're looking for what are the major things that might happen that I have to solve.
Right.
If I have a cracked frame, I want to know about it right now.
Yeah, so I don't think, based on what you're saying, there's not a downside to stripping that thing down right away.
If I'm not riding it, I'm not going to do any gravel on it. It's a cross-specific bike. I'm taking it down to the frame right now.
Yeah.
The first thing I'm doing, get the cranks out.
Yeah.
We say this should be, for a lot of people, a weekly thing, right? Depending on the conditions that you're racing in, of course. But it is certainly, there is no excuse for it to not be an off-season thing.
Yeah, and when you pull the cranks out, and the bottom, depending on what kind of bottom bracket it is, pull the bottom bracket, they take the bearings off.
Right.
It's not uncommon that there's a plastic sleeve in the bottom bracket.
Yeah. Well, if it's a press fit, yeah.
Or in mine, with the GXP, there's a plastic piece that goes between the
I know what you're talking
bearings,
about.
right?
Gotcha. Yes.
Some people put them in, some people don't.
Yes.
But if it is there, pull that out. Because that is holding the sand and the dirt and the grit.
Yeah,
it's holding. It's good. It's holding it outside of the
bearings.
The bearings.
Yeah.
But
It's filling up your frame.
It's filling your frame.
No, that's a good point. Yeah.
Yeah.
You want it down to now. If you just pressed in new bearings at the end of the season, maybe you did one race or two. Okay, and you don't want to. Yeah, don't take those out and.
Don't take the bearings out, but do pull the cranks.
But pull the cranks for sure.
Yep.
There is no excuse to not pull your cranks in the off season. And I know people get nervous about this, right?
It seems like it's a really big deal.
It seems like it's a really big deal. It's not.
It's not.
It's not that difficult.
If you have a self-extracting bolt on it, just be careful that you're using the correct size. Not even if it's not a self-extract, whatever it is,
Yeah.
always use the correct size wrench on it, because if you strip that thing out, now it's a big deal.
Yes, right. You sound like you're speaking from experience, Mr. Dave.
Yeah, from some time ago. And that's a mistake you make once.
Right.
Yeah.
So cranks out for sure. You will be amazed if you don't do this regularly, and maybe even if you do it regularly, you will be amazed at the amount of crap that ends up inside your frame.
Indeed.
It is shocking. So cranks out, but even get down to, of course, you're going to take all your cables and housing off, right? Unless you just did that at the end of the season and you're going to push it some into you're riding it for gravel and you're going to keep them on there, through part of the gravel season, whatever. We're talking about if your cross season is done and you're not going to really be using your cross bike till next year, all the cables out.
Right.
All the cables out.
And for internally routed cables, when you're taking cables out, not a bad idea to put the surgical tubing in.
Yes, either that or the other thing, like if you're going to just store your frame, one of the things you can do is take your cables out and just leave the housing.
Oh, yep.
With both ends, just leave both ends of the housing, depending on what the internal routing is.
Full
right.
housing
It all depends on what the internal routing is, right? But there are instances where you can take your inner cable out, leave the housing in. That's okay sitting in there.
Right.
Your crank is out, everything's getting air and is not going to get damp or anything over the summer. And just leave that housing in there as a guide for when you're going to go recable this thing.
For the stuff that does not have full-length housing,
if you can still do it for parts sometimes.
Yeah, I was going to say you could run housing over the cable before you extract it.
Yeah, right.
And that way it just makes things easier when you have to chase things through.
A lot of us have that real thin tubing that you can...
Right.
Yeah, so you can pull your housing out, slide that tube over the inner cable, and then pull the inner cable out, and you have some kind of guide. So that's all stuff. It's not the end of the world if it comes out, right? Don't freak out. You can still get around that, especially if you've got the frame, if you've got the thing taken apart down to the frame. Right. That makes internal cabling much easier. When your fork is out, internal cable routing is much easier. So especially with the focuses, it makes a big difference to take that front fork out.
And when we say strip it to the frame, a lot of people think that's frame and fork. But you're saying take the fork out.
Sure. If it's just going to be sitting for the off season, take the fork out. The key thing here is we're looking for big problems, right? We're looking for things like a cracked steer tube.
Yeah.
Are the chances that you have one are very low.
Right.
But if you do, you want to know about it now. This is part of what I just talked about, showing up at your first race with the confidence that everything is okay.
Right.
You know your steer tube's not cranked. Why? Because
you looked at it.
I looked at it, right? You know your fork is not cracked because you looked at it. You know your through axle is in good shape because you looked at it. So we're getting to that point. So cranks out, bearings mate probably, but if you just put in a set at the end of the year, you might be able to leave those in the bottom bracket. Certainly check them, make sure. But then do a frame inspection. This is the time where you're doing your most detailed frame inspection.
Right.
Go through your entire frame. I mean, just over the entire thing, very closely, detail look at your frame.
Now's the time to wipe it down.
Clean it. Yeah, it should be completely clean. Get all the mud off. It's so much easier to clean your frame
when there's no cables on it.
When there's nothing on it. So do a detailed inspection of your frame, making sure nothing's cracked. And then, you got it cleaned. When you're all done with that, wax your frame.
Yeah.
This is like
We're going to talk about that later today,
the
I think, too. But
ideal time to wax your frame.
Yeah.
You know, nothing's in the way. You're going to do this again when you finish your build, but now's when you can get it. You can get wax everywhere. I like to just use spray-on wax furniture polishes. That I use.
You're a big lemon fresh guy.
I like the smell. But especially, if this is going to be sitting for the summer, you're going to hang, your frame from a hook or something or some kind of bike way to hang just your bare frame with nothing built up on it. It's good to have some wax on there. It keeps everything. If it does get a little dusty because it's been sitting for a month or so, it's easy to wipe off, etc. So, and then you mentioned already, take the fork out. Handlebars, of course, get your handlebars out, untape their bars.
Yeah, I know that's always been a thing of yours.
Check your bars for, if your bike is going to sit for the entire off season, it should not have handlebar tape on it. Don't wait until August 1st to retape your bars.
Right, because, from a very practical standpoint, that handlebar tape
is a sponge.
It's a sponge. It's made of spongy material, and you have wet. Whether it's wet from rain and snow and junk or just sweat.
Yeah.
That is a recipe for disaster on your bars.
Exactly.
Get that off of there.
So have it off. This is assuming, again, that the bike is going to be sitting. It's waiting for next cyclocross season. If you're using it over the summer.
Even if it isn't, a lot of these things should be done. You just can't hang it and wait, right? You're going to have to do a lot of this stuff and fix and replace or repair or whatever right away.
Right. If you have a chain that is still good, maybe you just put it on at the end of the season or whatever, you got to lube that chain if it's going to sit, right? You can't just let it sit. Because I'm not using it, I don't have to lube it. No.
Right.
Lube that chain. And over the course of the summer, every now and then, take a look at it. You might have to. A lot of people don't realize chain lube just dries.
It does.
It goes away.
And it dissipates.
Yeah, so you have to keep doing it if it's sitting. Maybe you have to store your bike in your I have to store a lot of bikes in my basement. It's not that I have two dehumidifiers running, but there's humidity everywhere, right? So you keep lube on those chains. Every now and then over the course of the summer, go by, do a quick, drop on every rivet, just like you would with it on the bike, and keep that chain lubed. If you timed it right, you had to. The thing was shot after your last race, and
best case scenario, you take it off and throw it away
in the scrap bin, and you're ready for a new chain next year, and that's great. So, all right, what else, Mr. David Palin? Anything off the top of your head? Handlebars off, bar tape off, fork out. Take all the fork out. Check while you check the frame. Check your fork just as carefully. And cassette off the wheels, absolutely. Clean that and store that completely.
Now's the time
clean.
you have enough time to take it out, take a toothbrush to it. If you don't have an ultrasonic or something, grab a toothbrush and some Dawn dish detergent soap or something, and scrub it down, take it apart, scrub it down.
Spray a little something on there, and off you go. And it's ready. It can sit for the off season. So there you go. So basically, if you're storing it for the long term, for the entire off season, you're not really storing a bike. You're storing a bunch of parts right, that are going to be reassembled into a bike.
Keep them together.
That's a good point. Little containers, like Rubbermaid containers, or do you ever get you can get some lunch meat that comes in the little plastic harder container.
I'll take your word for it.
Yeah, they're great to save those.
Okay,
right after you're done, save those. They're great for storing parts in, because you just take your Sharpie, you write on the lid. Oh, this is such and such off of this.
Right.
Keep it closed. And keep everything stacked together, and it's ready to go for it. You can put your derailleur in one, right? Front derailleur in one, rear derailleur in one, if you're running a double.
Your lunch meat in the other.
And your lunch meat in the other. All those things important. Don't just think, I can just set this here, it'll be okay.
Right.
No, it's not going to be okay.
No. Because you're going to hit it with a lawnmower over the summer and,
set something on top of it. It goes on and on. So, all right. So basically, get everything. You're down to storing a bunch of bike parts if it's something you're not going to be riding over the summer.
Right.
We will obviously talk about reassembling this stuff as you get ready to ramp it up for next season. But all these things then are going to be things that you can now work on, right, over the summer. Wheels. Right. We're going to be talking about dishing wheel building wheels.
Wheel build challenge.
Oh! and getting your wheels set for next year, re-gluing your tubulars if they need it. All that stuff will be coming up.
Yep.
But we wanted to just get to a point today where everything's set. It can sit now for a long period of time and be okay when I come back to it.
And now is the time where you can take things off, figure out what you're going to need, and you don't have to replace it immediately. You can wait for the sale at your local bike shop. You can go to the swaps with your team or whatever and find the pieces and parts to replace what you got.
If one person that listens finds a cracked frame, it was worth us reminding everybody to check their frame.
Indeed. Go out there, find that cracked frame.
As somebody, if you find a crack in your frame and you listen to and you did it and you looked at it because of the show, send us an email.
Send us an email to
bikeshopshow@gmail.com.
bikeshopshow@gmail.com.
All right, Mr. David Palin.
Yes, sir.
We are ready for some viewer emails.
Are we? Are you sure? Because you know what? I was just going online here, and I know the internet's kind of slow or whatever, but I was going to go online here and sign up and take some quizzes online.
What?
Yeah, you don't mind if I do this while we're here, do you?
That sounds familiar.
Does it?
Did we used to talk about that?
We used to talk about our good friends at Health IQ.
Health IQ. Hey, everybody. Guess what? Health IQ is back.
They're back.
How awesome. I mean, just what a testament to how great
our
Health
viewers
IQ,
are.
Our viewers, but Health IQ is.
Yeah.
Go to healthiq.com/WAP. This is a little bit different than it used to be. It used to be each show on the network had their own link, but we're just sending everybody to the general wide angle podium link. So healthiq.com/WAP. Do the quiz. If you score elite on the quiz,
and you probably will.
But even if you don't, we're
life
just saying,
goals.
It's a great goal, right?
Yeah.
It's a perfect fitness goal. Is to be like, okay, I'm going to ramp up my fitness so that I can score elite on the Health IQ quiz. They have Health IQ has special rates for cyclists, runners, triathletes, vegans.
People that exercise regularly.
Right. If you're health conscious, if you have a health conscious lifestyle, you're watching BMI and stuff like that. This can be, and you're looking for is it health insurance, Mr. David?
It is not health
What
insurance.
is it?
They call it Health IQ, but it's tricky. They just try to twist that in there because it is life insurance.
It is life insurance. I have life insurance. We should all have life insurance.
I have life insurance.
Yes. It's time to get onto it's time to be an adult.
No, I hate adulting. We talked about this before the show.
I know. Adulting can sometimes be a pain, but you want to have life insurance. One of the smartest things I ever did when I was still in my 20s
yes, sir.
was get life insurance.
Mm-hmm. If you get it while you're younger.
Now that I'm 50, it's like
you're 50?
It's like so nice, right? It's
to know it's just done.
Such an advantage to have that done. So it's a great idea. And if you go to healthiq.com/WAP, you will get a special rate. It won't be as expensive as you think. We even in the past, when we're doing this previously, we had viewers that got better rates than they were going to get through work, through their workplace. So definitely go check it out. Again, it supports one of the sponsors that has just been huge for the Wide Angle Podium Network.
But more importantly, it supports our viewers. You need this.
Yes. It supports you. It supports us. It supports them. Just go check it out. healthiq.com/WAP. I think you will be amazed.
You may be surprised
at how easy and kind of cool it is. So, all right, Mr. David Palin, there you go. Sir. Are we on to questions?
I think it's time for questions.
We got some viewer questions, as we usually do each week. So, do you want to read the first one, or do you want me to?
Why don't you read the first one?
I'll read the first one. All right, this is from our friend Texas Tut.
Texas Tut.
Tut for now. His name is David. All right, he's saying, my question is, as I'm going through my bikes and work that needs to be done, retaping, new cables, etc. I have my
Did he already listen to the show?
I have my gravel bike that I did not get washed very well. Last wash was done in the evening after the outside water was shut off. So I got rid of the caked on goop, but it's still dirty.
He's up north too. He's a Canadian.
But see, this happens all the time at cross races, right? When it's Sunday night, and you've just finished the elite race, if you're pitting for and you're supporting somebody who's in the elite race, which is the last race of the day.
Yeah.
We're in the fall. The days are getting shorter. Most races don't have light unless they are a night specific race.
True.
This happens a lot to even elite level mechanics where you just cannot see. You remember when we had Louisville last year when we were there with Crystal and Travis. Remember at Louisville that year how after Travis finished, there was just you couldn't see. You could only clean it so well because you just couldn't see. Right. So that's a very common problem. He says, I am very fortunate this year to have an insulated shed. My wife calls it a man cave that is heated. What is best way to wash a bike really well in the winter without making too much of a puddle in the shop? I would have considered riding on the thaw last week, but washing, though I could have done that outside that day, but I head out on -1C. It will need cleaning. So, one of the things you can do that's going to help is we mentioned keeping your frame polished well.
Right.
That will help you for sure not have mud and stuff stick to it in the first place. Right. Mm-hmm. So keep your bike waxed as well as you can. Take the wheels out, put your frame in, clean your seat post, right? Clamp the bike by the seat post in the bike stand, get the wheels out, and then if you don't want to make a big puddle, it's basically you're down to rags that you can spray your soapy water or your cleaning. I like the green fizz from Pedro's. Right. Still love that stuff. And the WD-40 bike wash. That's
bike
another
wash. WD-40
foaming bike wash that WD-40 makes. I really, really like that too.
Yep.
But there's like these citrus sudsing things too that are great ways to clean your cassette, great ways to clean your chain. Do that first. Let those suds up. Take your rag. Wipe each piece individually. Wipe your chain. Do all that. Then clean your frame. You can actually do a fairly decent job without dumping a bunch of water onto it.
Yep. So, and you can also and I've done this when I moved my bike to the basement. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's not quite as free as in either the garage or out on the driveway. Spread a bike box or something broken down, right?
Yep.
So that even using your low water situations, you're going to drip stuff. Right,
even just the dirt that's falling off will fall into that, right? And then you don't have to
spread that
sweep
below
it up.
The stand,
or a towel, a drop cloth, something that you can catch all the junk that's going to fall off and then take it out. To me, the best way to clean the cassette without water is just take it off. Just take your cassette off, clean each gear and the spacers real quick. Make sure your free hub body is clean, and then slide it back on. It also makes it easier to clean the hub with no water, with the cassette off. So you can get all that, and get all the spokes clean, and do all that. So, it basically, if you don't have a water source and it's winter and you're trying to clean it inside, it means taking more things apart. Right. You
can't just spray
You can't just spray something on the whole bike and it's ready to go. So,
and the upside of that, of course, is that you're doing a better job cleaning.
You're doing a better job cleaning, and you can inspect things. So there is a big upside to that. In fact, that is the way I mostly clean bikes, to be honest with you. Rather, the outside with the hose without taking anything major off is usually more of a quickie clean.
And that's a good way to clean it before you bring it into the house.
Sure, do that, and then bring it in, break it down. You won't have as much junk falling on the floor and stuff like that. So, all right, thanks, David, for that question. Let's move on, Mr. David Palin. Go with the next one.
Next one. Hey, I just found your podcast.
This is from Tom, by the way.
Oh, sorry.
That's all right.
I usually get to the name at the end, but okay.
Well, I like to say people's names because they're listening and they can go, wait.
That's me.
Wait, this might be me unless there's another Tom.
Yeah, okay.
Thanks for the email, Tom. But wait a minute. I got a comment here, Mr. David Palin.
Go ahead.
Tom just says, hey.
Yeah. Well, you'll see why.
Right. Okay.
Immediately.
All right, Tom.
Hey, I just found your podcast recently.
That's why. See, Tom's a new...
Right, we love newbies.
Newish
We love
listener.
our new viewers as much as we love our old viewers.
Thank you, Tom.
Great stuff.
Awesome.
I always wanted to know, do the elite riders using Shimano Di2 drivetrains use the synchro shift function? And if so, do they set up the paddles similar to SRAM ETAP? In theory, I would think this would be an ideal setup for CX or gravel, but can't find out if anyone is actually using it. Thanks, and keep up the fun CX Tech Talk, Tom. Tech Talk Tom.
So the quick answer is no.
No.
No, they're not. They're not going to want to use anything that's going to do things automatically without their control, right?
Right.
You're talking about riders that are very advanced.
Right.
They want, in fact, one of my pro riders that I know really well doesn't even want electronic shifting, right?
Indeed.
He wants to be able to feel that shifter shift, and I love that sentiment. I think that's a great thing.
Yep.
And
from a paddle standpoint, unless, and I haven't ridden Di2 in a little while now, it wasn't, you just couldn't do it. It wasn't, you could get close.
Yeah.
But especially with a 1x, which in most CX situations, you're looking at 1x, then it's just up and down.
Yeah.
So, that's sort of the same as the E-tap, up, down.
Yeah.
But they're different systems. Let's just say that.
So right, exactly. So, but yeah, in general, you want to have as much control. The riders are going to want to have as much control over everything as they possibly can. Now, the Di2 does have the thing where it won't let you cross chain.
Correct.
That you can't. That's just there, right?
Right.
So that is there. But nothing that is like adjusting things on its own.
Right.
You don't want any of that.
And you also don't want to like get surprised, shall we say, by a front
shift,
chainring shift.
Yeah, no,
because you just pressed up or down.
Yeah,
and suddenly it is dramatically different than what your legs are expecting.
Yep. So in general, that's no, they won't run that. Because again, and that's, I think what you just said is probably that's the primary reason. You don't want to make a rear shift and have everything change on you. Right. So, all right, Tom, thanks for listening, man.
Thanks for viewing.
Keep for viewing. I mean, and thanks and keep it up. We love it. And send us more questions.
Yes, for sure. Thanks, Tom.
All right, I will go on to the next one. Is from Mark from Long Beach, Cali. I bet it's warmer there than it is here.
You think so?
All right, Mark says, Mark is a WAP member, by the way. Mark says, hi there, MDP and SSD, Mr. and Sir Scotty D. All right, he says, this winter has been very lucky for me, and I now have a new Alchemy Helios. It is amazing.
Nice.
Having my dream bike and riding in some thankfully not as rare Southern California rain, I thought of a question. When I got home, I immediately washed my new bike to clean off the dirt and grime from the day's ride. While doing so, I spotted some liquid car wax in the garage. The finish of the bike is a nice glossy clear coat over the raw black carbon. Can I use the car wax on the bike after washing it, and will doing so better protect it from UV, dirt, and grime? Would there be any reason this would be a bad idea? The cabling is internal on the down tube, so there should not be any wax building up on the brake/shift cabling. Thanks for the great show. WAP member Mark, Long Beach, CA.
We talked about that today.
We just talked about this.
Yeah. Weren't you paying attention, Mark?
Of course. If you have a glossy finish, waxing it is fine.
Yes,
you can use the car wax if you want. I used to use car wax.
Yeah.
But it was a pain to get on, I thought. And you can't, it's hard to get it in all the little, so to me,
I like the spray-on
wax is just way better. You can, there are spray-on car waxes now all over the place. And those work just fine. I still like furniture polish.
You do. It always smells lemony in the shop.
It does. So that's still what I use, is spray on Pledge or whatever.
Yeah.
Depending on the what's on sale.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely, man, go for it, especially on a new bike.
Yeah.
But it also,
and I bet, man, an Alchemy Helios.
That's probably really cool,
bike,
and like I said, it will also help keep things from sticking to it.
Yeah.
And it might not. You might not need to wax it every time.
No.
But in general, and when you do wax it with a spray wax, try and keep it off any braking surfaces,
yeah, I was
right?
gonna say that.
Keep it off your rims for rim brakes. Keep it off your rotors, of course. Getting wax on rotors is about one of the worst things you can do.
It is indeed.
Because as soon as if that gets sucked up by those pads,
it will
on a disc brake, and it will. You basically ruined those pads are gone.
So either pull the pads out. That's kind of a little bit. It's a little more intensive, or at least cover them with a clean rag. When you're spraying any wax.
And anytime I wax, you got to get the wheels out in general.
Yeah.
Just get the wheels out. And here's the big question.
Here it is.
Do you wax the saddle?
What kind of saddle is it?
Well, it's any kind of shiny saddle, like anything that's not like textured. Do you like?
I'll tell you,
it's a personal choice, right? Because I've done it, and people are like, it's so slippery, I can't keep. But I like when I like that feeling. I don't like to feel stuck to the saddle. So to me, having the saddle waxed is kind of better. I like it better as far as riding. But some people don't like it.
Yeah, I won't spray it and wax it per se, but I'm also not going to cover it or remove it when I'm waxing the bike.
Right.
If I get some on it, that's good for me.
Yeah.
And generally speaking,
it doesn't last long.
No, it won't. And your saddle should be flat anyways.
Yeah.
So you shouldn't be sliding based on gravity, right? Yeah, we're not creating a slide here. Right?
But it doesn't last long.
No,
I mean, it doesn't even last for a ride, and you can feel that it's not there anymore. No. So, all right, there you go, Mark. Thanks for the question. Let's move on, Mr. David.
All
Pound.
right,
I think we have another Mark.
We do, from Dr. Cement.
Dr. Cement, Mark.
All right,
we know him.
We do. He was a winner of a contest, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
Hi, hey, Scotty D and MD VP, longtime viewer, at least since the Bike Shop CX incarnation, first time questioner. He dares question us. First, thank you guys and Dan at Grimpeur Bros for putting on these contests. Stoked to win some coffee and very excited to try out the full Schleck.
You should be.
Indeed. I know probably by the time he is hearing this and
he's probably already got it.
He's probably had some.
Yeah.
He's probably, as you and I are drinking full Schleck, he is probably drinking some full Schleck
it right now
with us.
Yep.
Yeah. And now on to a question. I recently came into a pair of carbon tubular wheels, both front wheels, at a bike swap. It was too good a deal to pass up, especially when your spouse is also encouraging you to buy them. Not a commentary at all on her support of cycling. We were just in process of doing some house cleaning, decluttering, and bringing more things into the house isn't a top priority. They have a DT Swiss 240 center lock disc hubs.
Nice.
And I'm thinking about turning one of them into a rear, so I have a full set for racing next fall. Since my budget is not massive, I've started looking for a used 240 rear center lock hub since I have a bit of compulsion to match things. Does this seem like a reasonable course of action, or is there something else you think I ought to consider given your experience? Appreciate any advice you have, and as always, I'll be anxiously awaiting the next show.
So, I mean, mostly it depends on how bad your compulsion to make things matches.
True. Matchy.
For cyclocross, man, oh man, you change wheels so much.
Yeah.
As again, assuming you should be riding tubulars. No, it's okay. But you change wheels so much, it might not. I mean, how picky you want to get about that.
Right.
But to look for a used 240 rear, sure. I mean, you might be able to find that. I mean, there's a lot of people that are building wheels around the 240 hub. So those are the kind of people that will build it onto something, use it for a while, and maybe take it apart and try and sell it. So I think that's the level where you could see more used stuff available because it is high end. It lasts a long time versus people that use, say, a DT Swiss 350 tend to be not as mechanically advanced, right? So they tend to just leave them on the wheels, and so I think your chances of seeing a 240 are a little bit more higher than something lower end. So I would want to know. I mean, obviously, buying anything used, your main concern is going to be what is the free hub body like,
right?
I want to check that, make sure my free hub body is good. The good thing about the DT Swiss things, though, is you can buy another free hub body very easily. Any bike shop with a QVP account can get that for you. And they're so easy to put on. You basically pull it off and you put the new one on.
Right.
I mean, it's almost you don't even need tools if you do need a new one. And then, of course, check the bearings inside. How the bearings, how worked did those things get? But you might have trouble finding a 240 specifically a 240, and there might be a lot of other good hubs.
Right.
You might, if you got a really good deal. Here's the question, Mark: if you got a really good deal on an Industry 9 rear hub, would you pass it up?
Based on the first part of his question, I'd say probably not.
Probably
and
not.
I think that you'd be wise not to.
Yeah, I would grab that and build that up, instead.
And then don't look at it as you have mismatched hubs. You're just waiting for the front I-9 hub,
Right.
or they're just waiting for the rear
Exactly.
340 rear hub, right?
More reason to build more wheels.
Exactly.
So there you go. But I would say just if you find a good deal on any high quality rear hub, I would just grab it and use it.
And that's the thing, like you're saying, that the chances of you finding a 240, the one thing about them is they're so reliable and so good that people that ride 240s tend to be the people that are rebuilding. So if they have problems with their wheels, they're not going to just say, I'm out of here, sell these wheels. They're going to say,
that's true.
Okay,
Very
I'm going to
true.
rebuild a new set of wheels on these 240s.
Yep. So that could be the case. So you might have trouble there. But yeah, and because a rear 240, if you bought a new one, it's not cheap.
But it's a worthwhile investment.
But it's worth every penny.
About.
Absolutely, that is my favorite hub out there for cyclocross right now. But it's a rear hub on a 240 is a little bit of an investment. So keep looking, Mark. Let us know what happens.
Yeah,
I'm
for
curious.
Sure. Yeah,
I'm curious.
Yeah, we'll keep an eye. We're going to go to the Ann Arbor bike swap. We'll keep an eye out for you.
That's coming up.
There.
I'm bringing March,
starting to build that box of stuff.
March 1st is when I'm going to start going through and figuring out what bikes I'm going to take to try and sell and all the parts I've got. Oh my goodness.
We've got a guy that comes into the shop on a fairly regular basis with old-timey Schwinn's and stuff, and the road bikes that's getting ready, and he says he's got about 15, 20 bikes that he usually brings with him.
I got my if anybody's interested, I have a carbon Campy record crank and I have a carbon SRAM red crank ready to sell.
Okay.
They're not compact, they're both standard, but all right. No. If you want to get those before they go up for sale at the bike swap, let me know. Yeah. All right.
Little guy is probably going to be looking for those.
I would love to see little guy run one of those full carbon crank on one of his
Kleins,
one of his steel bike creations that he built.
Yeah,
so awesome.
That
would
cool.
be so awesome. All right. Last email of the day, Mr. D and MDP et al. I love it. Life story first, then a tech question. Just want to say that it is your show that has rekindled my love for the sport.
Wow.
How do you get better than that? We should just stop
end it right now.
Yeah, just end it right there. That is amazing. This is from Simon, by the way, in Ottawa, Canada. Thank you, Simon. That is awesome, dude. We do a lot of this stuff, and we talk about it all the time. It's a labor of love. Yeah.
But this kind of stuff,
this is what makes our day, man, our week. Yeah. So Simon continues, 3 years ago, I suffered a horrible back injury and was no longer able to race cross, a sport I had loved and obsessed over for many years. My general interest in cycling dwindled as my fitness routine demanded focus on core strength training in order to stay functional. Sadly, my life turned into N-1.
Oh.
I mean, we were just talking about selling. My life is kind of N-1 now, but it's because I have like 40 bikes. At some point, N+1 has to end, right? Yeah.
I once dated a girl who said that bikes are about N-1, where N equals the number of bikes that would result in a divorce.
Exactly.
Which is perfect.
Exactly. All right. Simon continues, fast forward to the past 7 months. I was deployed militarily overseas to Africa, where I was posted to a camp occupied by the Dutch. Imagine that. Many of whom were crowded around the TV this fall every weekend watching the races.
And those, by the races, he's referring to?
The cross races.
The cross races.
Of course, it's fall.
And they're Dutch.
In addition to the weekend ritual with the Dutch, I also started listening to your podcast during my downtime.
Did you introduce us to the Dutch?
That's right. You guys have brought me back to what I love. Just wanted to thank you for that. I've just returned home after 7 long months and have decided to reinvigorate my love for cross and have a new bike on order as a present to myself. So now my question. The bike, 2019 Norco Threshold, comes with Force 1x11 with an Easton EC90 SL crankset. I'd like to throw on a power meter, and I'm somewhat loyal to Stages. Had one on my road bike, and I'm trying to figure out which crank arm I need. The bottom bracket, according to Norco, is BB86 press fit, but Stages' website lists the one I think I need as BB30, but says that it's Easton compatible. Can you decipher this for me? If Stages is a no-go, what have you heard about Easton's cinch power meter that is 100% compatible with the crank? Okay, I'm going to stop right there.
Okay.
get the Easton.
No question. You installed the Easton on
I put
Tyler's
the Easton
bike.
on Tyler's bike at the beginning of the cross for DCCX. I
Right.
showed up early.
Yep.
Tyler Cloutier, the American Canadian,
Tex Arcadian.
friend of the pod, and it was awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And
awesome.
Okay,
awesome.
apart from that.
Did I say it was awesome?
You might have mentioned that it was pretty good.
Yes.
Right? Apart from that,
Yeah.
anytime you take something that has an adapter, is built to be kind of compatible with,
Yeah.
versus the Easton
Right.
power spindle for the Easton crank,
Yeah.
there's really no choice.
It's not going to work as well.
Yeah.
That Easton, it might seem daunting to you, Simon, to install that thing. It is incredibly easy.
Yeah.
They give you a tool with it. It comes with it. Well, they don't give it to you, but it's included in what you pay for it. And yeah, you can extract the existing spindle from the crank, and you put in this new spindle, and you have a USB output on one side, and it is beautiful. So absolutely, Easton I think makes as good or the best bike components in the business.
Yep.
So I just would not hesitate to steer you towards that, and
Yeah.
that would be my choice in a second. Second question. The wheels that come with the bike are Easton EC90 carbon tubeless ready. Having just listened to your discussion on tubeless, what will I need to switch between normal clinchers when I run during the week and tubeless tires for race weekends?
Oh.
Well, okay, so what you're going to do is you're going to have your wheels, basically you are running tubeless wheels with an inner tube during the week if you're running clinchers.
Okay.
And then on the weekend, you're just setting them up. So you're either going to have, if you're going to do that and you're going to run clinchers during the week, you can just run regular tires, right? You don't need tubeless specific tires.
Right.
And an inner tube. The inner tube helps strengthen the sidewall, helps keep it airtight, or more airtight, but also helps strengthen the sidewalls. Clincher tires generally have thinner sidewalls because they don't have to be because they have the tube helping them.
Right.
And then they don't have at where they clinch to the rim, they don't have as much of an overlap. That tubeless will have this little flap that helps them seal up airtight.
Right.
And clinchers don't have that because they don't need it because there's a tube in it. So all you will need, the big hassle with this is going to be the sealant, right? Is getting sealant. I mean, I guess you could take, if I were going to do this, I would use completely different tires. I would take my tubeless tires off after I'm done with them. Be very careful not to spill the sealant.
Yeah.
Right? Try and hang it in a way that the sealant can stay in. It's going to dry quicker and all that stuff. It's going to be a hassle. And then put it back on without all the sealant draining out.
Okay.
It's going to be a hassle.
Let me ask 2 questions.
Yes.
One is, why not just run your tires all week long?
Well,
I mean, just from the convenience standpoint of having to go through this, and maybe he's going to ride it on the road.
My impression is that it's road tires
during the week,
and
then
cross tires on the weekend.
And if that's the case, and again, Simon, I love you, man. I'm not sure, and I'm not sure the answer to this question, but my next question would be, are you going to be racing during the week? How high-end do you need that wheel set to be during the week? Otherwise, get an inexpensive wheel set and just swap out the wheel set. It's going to be so much more convenient than dealing with the sealant. And
it depends what you're going to be using them as clinchers for. If you're just going to commute on it, then yes, I agree with you. If you're going to be doing if you need racing wheels during the week and you want clinchers, then yes, you're going to need, then maybe just changing the tire is the better way to do it, unless you're ready to fork out big money for another set of racing wheels. So yeah, there's still some variables that we don't know about. But if your plan is to swap between clinchers during the week,
how to swap.
Yeah, if your plan is to change between clinchers during the week and tubeless on the weekend, your big thing to deal with is going to be the sealant. Keeping that in, maybe there's the syringes that you can draw it back out and then save it and then put it back in, but that's going to be a hassle. You're going to get tired of that.
And you're going to have to clean the rim strips, do a really good job of cleaning the clincher, the sides of the the rim.
But basically, your wheels are set up with tubeless tape in them.
Correct.
All the time.
Yep.
You will just leave that. You're not going to be changing that every single time you change this. You'll just leave.
You can also have to change your valves.
You're going to have to take the valve out every time.
And then every time you take it out and replace it, then you're introducing the opportunity to widen that space
for
there.
wear,
and now you're going to have to,
So you're going to have to keep some extra valves, for when they do die on you and stuff like that. So I think you're going to get tired of doing that very quickly.
Yeah.
So plan on, and if it might be fine for a little bit, but you will probably very quickly want to have a second set of wheels if that's your plan, so that you can have a clincher set and then a tubeless set. Or you might decide, you know what, if I get a second set of wheels, I might as well just get road tubeless.
Yeah.
Run a road tubeless during the week, run cross tubeless on the weekends.
Agreed.
And that would be a really good solution. Simon, let us know what you decide and what you end up doing.
And I came across kind of jerky on that, and I didn't mean to be.
Well,
but thank you
do that all the time.
I do. I know. Thank you so much, Simon, for that.
Yeah, what
words.
an awesome email. We're glad you're getting back into cross, and it sounds like you have an amazing bike. And if you get these wheels set up,
let us know.
Send us a picture. Yeah, that would be cool. All right, Mr. David Palin,
yes,
I think that's the end of our questions for this week. If people have questions and they want to send them to the show, they can send them to bikeshopshow@gmail.com.
Bikeshopshow@gmail.com.
I know, it's a crazy address, but there you go. And if people want to get in touch with you, Mr. David Palin, what's the best place to do it?
Do it on Instagram. Do it on Twitter. Mr. David Palin, @Mr. David Palin.
And if you want to get a hold of me, Scott Diedenbach, the best way right now is Instagram on social media.
Yep.
It's really the main social media that I use, and that is just @bikeshopcx. But really the best way is to just send an email to the show, bikeshopshow@gmail.com. And yeah, those come right to my inbox, and I read all those. So those are the two primary ways. All right, Mr. David Palin, I think that's going to wrap it up for this week.
And with that, the bike shop is closed.
Yes. All right, that's the show for this week. I hope everybody dug it. Thanks for getting over to wideanglepodium.com and becoming a member or considering becoming a member. Thank you for getting over to healthiq.com/WAP and doing the survey. And thank you for getting on over to Grimpeur Brothers, GrimpeurBrothers.com, and buying some coffee. All those things extremely helpful. All right, can't wait for the warm weather to start getting here. I hope everybody is getting out there and riding still, even if you're living in Michigan in February. If you are getting out there and riding, be careful out there. And as always, take care of each other out there, guys. And until next time, the bike shop is closed.